Chat, I'm going to tell you some things about cerebral palsy. Cerebral palsy is an injury to the brain that makes the muscles tighten up and make it harder to talk or walking, for instance. My issue is both. So we're opening up this chat to the Cerebral Palsy Swagger. It was where my brother Hunter carried me 57 miles to raise awareness for cerebral palsy, which is what I have.
Thank you, Braden. Good job. Good morning and welcome to the Mott Chat. You may be familiar with the CP Swagger team. They first made national news a little over a year ago when then 14-year-old Hunter carried 7-year-old Braden, who has cerebral palsy, on his back over 40 miles from their hometown to the University of Michigan. They did it to draw attention to the physical and mental challenges faced every day by those affected by CP. They wanted to get the attention of civic leaders, doctors, engineers, and entrepreneurs to engage them in creating better solutions for mobility aids and treatment for individuals with CP and other disabilities. They made huge national press and have been invited to represent disability and cerebral palsy advocacy efforts at forums all over. But their work isn't done. This past weekend, the CP Swagger team were back at it, this time with a 57-mile walk. And Braden is about 10 pounds bigger this year, so it was a little more challenging. So here with me today is Hunter, Braden, Mom Danielle, and Dr. Ed Hurvitz, who is the chairman of the Department of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation. Welcome. We are really looking forward to learning more about the walk, about cerebral palsy, and what your goals are. So first of all, Hunter, let's start with you. How was the walk different for you this year?
Well, first thing, it's farther, it's longer, it's just harder all around because, Braden's heavier. It was definitely more challenging than last year. But, this year we were able to train for it and prepare for it better. Last year when we did it, it was, a first-time thing. It was something unlike anything I had ever done before, unlike anything anyone else has really ever done before. So we weren't really sure what to do to prepare for it. This year we look back at, last year's issues and, we tried to take advantage of that and, learn from our mistakes and learn from, the difficulties we had. Last year, the thing that probably bothered me most on the walk was my middle to lower back. And this year I talked to Braden's therapist before our walk, and, I started training and working those muscles out to, strengthen them so I didn't have those problems. So this year it was definitely harder, but we also had, a lot of training that went into this one.
Very good. Thank you. Braden, can you tell us a little bit about how it feels to have a brother who cares so much about you and wants to raise awareness in order to help people with cerebral palsy?
It's awesome having a brother like that.
Nice. And how is it to ride on his back for so many miles?
It's painful.
I'm sure you got sore. So Danielle, tell us a little bit about what you are most proud of.
I'm most proud of Braden's bravery for letting us point out his struggles and show it off like the way we do. Not many people want to show their differences or have the courage to show differences, and he lets us, even though sometimes, he doesn't enjoy it as much, but he knows it's important and he wants to help other kids with cerebral palsy as well as other mobility issues and disabilities. And so he's all in for it.
Can you tell us a little bit about the reach that this received this year, the coverage, the places that have contacted you to hear more?
Yeah, it's been amazing. Last year and this year, we're receiving a lot of messages on our Facebook or Twitter Hunter's been doing a lot of interviews over the phone for different radio stations, but it's Algeria, London, where else? It's worldwide right
All
now,
over.
and it's still going. It's a day-to-day thing right now. Every time a big national media source releases an interview or a story or their interpretation of the story, then it kind of gets it going again and kind of comes in waves. But yeah, I think our most recent was today. We're getting a call from London. Hunter has an interview after this from a radio station in London, so that's exciting.
That's great. Dr. Hurvitz,
Yes.
you work with children like Braden every day. What do you see as some of the major challenges facing the CP community?
Well, I think Braden probably said it better than I could. Braden has difficulty with his mobility, difficulty with a lot of other functioning, even affecting his talking. A lot of people with cerebral palsy have difficulty doing the things that you and I take for granted, like walking, like swallowing, like being able to dress ourselves, like being able to talk and so forth. So there's quite a few challenges that people have. I think one of the biggest challenges that, though, that has not been well addressed in individuals with cerebral palsy is that kids like Braden grow up, and Braden's going to someday grow up to be big like his brother, and then big like us, like adults. And we're not all that together and understanding what happens as children grow up to be adults with cerebral palsy, and that's something that we need to know a lot more about. So the more we are aware of cerebral palsy, the more we are thinking about the issues relating to children with cerebral palsy, the more we'll be able to think about what happens to them as they transition to adulthood. And that's why events like this are so wonderful, because we really need to make people more aware of cerebral palsy and how it affects individuals and what we can do to help it.
Great. What advice would you have for the community, the people that are tuning in who are affected by cerebral palsy, about accessing resources in the community, finding support?
Well, I think that there are a lot of very good places now where you can look for resources. It isn't as well organized as we'd like it to be. The internet has been very helpful with that. There's an organization that is a national organization, but we recently formed a Michigan chapter called Reaching for the Stars. And they have a wonderful webpage and a blog, and they have a group that shares ideas, shares resources, and that sort of thing. Our physical medicine rehabilitation clinics have different sources and offer different opportunities for hearing about resources and that kind of thing. So I would encourage people to be in touch with medical care, be in touch with their therapists and so forth, not to give up on that because they think there's nothing to offer, because I think there's always something more that we can do. We talk a lot now about exercise, and this is why another reason the CP Swagger is such a great event for cerebral palsy, because simple things like just a more fit, healthy lifestyle and exercise are things that we often ignore in disability, and things that I think can be very helpful.
Wonderful. So speaking of exercise, we'll tag on to that. Hunter, I hear that you're breaking ground on a new accessible playground. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we got so much support from so many people, worldwide last year. And so many people said, I want to help out in some way, yet I live in California and I can't come walk with you. What can I do? And people, just came to us. They insisted on donations, and, they wanted to help us out. And we kept saying, yeah, this is just an awareness project. We're not looking for donations. But so many people came to us that we opened a link to the University of Michigan Cerebral Palsy Research Consortium. And we raised about $16,000 doing that. Then more people just came to us, and now they had more specific requests. They said, I want to do something for Braden. What can we do for Braden? And we said, well, we talked with Braden over it, and we're saying, well, we've got all these people who, want to donate and help you out with something. And we thought about it, and we came up with the idea for a handicap accessible playground at his school. Currently at his current school, the play structure is not accessible to him. The only thing he can use is one swing. The play structure is surrounded by mulch, which his walker is not able to go through with ease. It has stairs instead of ramps that of course, his walker cannot go up. So we're trying to raise funds for this playground, and we've raised about $200,000 of the $350,000 that are going to be needed for the playground. And, it'll have a rubber flooring instead of the mulch, so this walker, can go over it smoothly. It'll have ramps, and it'll be fun for, all the kids to play on because, Braden's in second grade, going into third, and recess should be one of the most exciting parts of his day. Being a young kid like he is, he should look forward to it every day. So that's what we're trying to do.
Wonderful. Braden, what is it going to mean to you to be able to get on a playground and enjoy your recess?
It would mean to me a lot because I'll remember the people who helped us raise money for the playground. And I would just be really happy because now I could play with my friends.
Awesome. That's great. Dr. Hurvitz, could you tell us a little bit about research that's going on?
Sure. There's a lot of very interesting research going on in cerebral palsy that covers everything from preventing cerebral palsy from happening in children who are born prematurely and have other problems at birth, all the way to what are the best kinds of treatments that we can develop to help folks like Braden to work better, function better, and so forth. We're doing a lot of very interesting things with technology and robotics. Now we have devices that help kids to walk and help train them to walk and so forth that we're testing out to see if those will be good things for training. Doing a lot of different therapy techniques and studying them to see if they work best, different kinds of medications and so forth. And then we're also looking at some of those issues about how exercise affects individuals with cerebral palsy. There was a time when people thought that if you had cerebral palsy, it was bad to exercise because it would hurt their bones, hurt their muscles, make them tighter. And we found that all those things are not true. So we're doing a lot of studies now to figure out what's the best way for people with cerebral palsy to exercise and to stay healthy and to make them healthy for a long and functional lifestyle.
And this is for anyone who wants to answer. What were you most surprised about during the walk? Did you see anything that was
I would say
particularly
the community support, and this is the second year now. It's still, people still want to hear the story. People still want to know what is cerebral palsy, what can I do to help? I mean, there's so many people that really truly do want to help. They just, they didn't know there was need. Just like, I mean, honestly, we don't really realize what the need is until we face it with Braden. I mean, so when people come to us for advice and ask us, I have a 15-year-old and they're facing this, we haven't been to that level yet. So we can't really help those people. We kind of, refer them to someone else who's a little older and more experienced. But the people just want to know, and so we can share our story, but we'd really like other people to be sharing their stories so they can, all the information from all the different ages out there of people with cerebral palsy, there's more experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to share that the thing that amazed me was the energy and enthusiasm of this family. I was there at the finish line, and you think after walking 57 miles that all they want to do is fall onto the ground and have water poured on their heads. Well, they were up and they were around, and Hunter was right on message with this CP awareness. He was there in front of the microphones telling people what this was about, what it was for, why he was doing this, and why it was important. And I was extremely impressed. I would say that this whole family, but I'd say especially Hunter, are real heroes.
What really impressed me most was, the support of my friends. Of course, I'm going to have their support and they're going to say that, I've got your back, Hunter, you can do this. But what surprised me the most was the sacrifices they made, to be with me. They gave up a lot, asking them to come, spend 3 days walking with me. That's a lot. And some of them, they were sore too. They were, some of them had issues with chafing or with, bruising or blisters,
yeah.
and it was it was tough for them too, and they fought through it, and I'm really thankful that they did. That was a great thing and a great asset to what we were able to do.
Was there anything or anyone along the route that said something particularly poignant, or somebody showed up and wanted to do something during the walk? Was there anything that stands out as particularly amazing?
It really wasn't one thing that stood out to us, just because there were people everywhere that were, standing with signs, cheering us on. There were people with, water coolers out. There were just so many people there that, they were all pushing us on. It was, like all of the communities just came together to support us and push us on. It was, just amazing how many people, were just there to cheer us on.
From the first walk, there was, at the very beginning of the first walk, a little girl came up and gave Hunter a coin with an angel on it that he wore in his sock. And it was just a very touching symbol. It was just something to keep him safe and get him through it. But just little things like that. Like we had one little girl who gave her birthday money towards the playground. And we had, this year we had a group of 4 boys who donated their allowance money, which I don't know how long they saved, but it was quite a bit of money that they donated. Just the little personal gestures like that really mean a lot.
Nice. Very good. So I do know this is a family affair. Is there anything else that your family is doing in particular?
Right now we are taking a little bit of downtime. Braden is getting ready to have surgery in a few weeks, and we're switching gears and getting ready to focus on that. It's going to be selective dorsal rhizotomy here at Mott Children's Hospital. And quite a bit of intensive therapy follows that. And so we're going to back off a little bit this summer. We'll obviously keep our social media sites up and show the progress and the new issues and things that come up with the surgery. So people consider that as, an option, put that information out there for them. But we're going to back off and focus on really getting Braden strong.
Would you mind explaining in layman's terms for people who would be interested what the surgery is?
Sure. We've been talking about the fact that Braden has tight muscles, especially in his legs, which interfere with his ability to move them. They've interfered with his ability to learn how to move them the way that babies generally do. The body is always getting messages from the outside world, which come into the body, go into the spinal cord, and influence how the body moves. The brain helps control those messages. And when someone has cerebral palsy and the part of the brain that works the legs isn't working the way it's supposed to, then sometimes those messages are not interpreted properly, and it causes the spasticity that we see. In the selective dorsal rhizotomy, we go into the back, and we actually go to some of the nerves that collect some of those messages from the whole body and from the outside world, and we cut some of those nerves. And by doing that, by decreasing some of those messages that are coming in, we decrease some of that output, and the muscles become less spastic. When they're less spastic, this gives folks like Braden a chance to relearn how to use them. And so what we do after the surgery is to have a very intensive physical therapy program where the children relearn how to use their muscles, or perhaps I should say learn for the first time how to use their muscles to move better, to walk better, and to function better. It's a big surgery. It's a neurosurgical procedure. It'll take Braden a little time to recover, and then we'll have intensive therapy. We like that intensive therapy to go for at least a year.
Excellent. Hunter, I wonder if you could even take us back to the beginning and how you got the idea to do this walk and what your goals were.
Well, we never planned or even dreamed for it to be as big as it is now. It all started from a dream that my mom had, where I was carrying Braden actually from our house to Mackinac, which is over 300 miles. And she,
Next year? That's for next year?
Not for next year. I think it's a bit far. But she went to Braden's therapist and, jokingly talked about the idea. And she said, "Oh, that's a great idea, but yeah, that's not really realistic." And then she, came home and told me about it. And I'm like, I think that's a great idea too, but 300 miles is pretty far. And again, we were still just joking at this point. And then we said, where could I actually carry him to? And then, we said the University of Michigan, and slowly we started actually thinking, wait, maybe we can do this. And, we got the idea. And I think we released that we were going to be doing it at the beginning of May of 2014. And at the time, it was more of a community project, just things that I was trying to, tell my friends about. I was just, wanted to go out and share it with my community and with my school, maybe the surrounding schools if we got lucky. Obviously, it's grown to much more than that. with all the press and all the national attention that we've gotten, it was never, it's so far beyond what our original goals were. But awareness has always been our main focus. So I think we've definitely accomplished that.
Excellent. Do you plan to walk next year?
I think on every interview that I've done so far since the walk, I've gotten that question, are we going to do this next year? The answer right now that I'm going to tell you with my legs still tight, still sore, is absolutely not. Now, a year ago, after walking 40, I would have told you the same exact thing. Absolutely not. I'm not going 40 again. Definitely not going any farther. Look where we are. So, I don't know if we'll do it. Braden will continue to grow. I will eventually stop. And if he's my size, I'm not going to have very much fun carrying him 57 miles again. So, we're going to see what comes at us, see what's in the best interest of our family and, of the CP world, see what we need.
Great. So we do have a couple of questions coming in from people who have logged on. This one is for you, Hunter. Was it tough to deal with the walk and balance school at the same time?
I think my mom could probably answer that too. But it was difficult. Luckily, I'm the top of my class, so I'm pretty smart, and I do well in school already. It was very tough. I missed a lot of time with the walk. I went to DC for a week on a trip that I was invited to because of my accomplishments. With interviews, I was in and out of school all the time, and I missed a lot of time, just being in the classroom and learning. Luckily, most of my teachers, understood the situation. They were, very forgiving of it, and they tried to help me out the best that they could. I tried to do my best, and it was difficult, but I got through it.
Danielle?
We'll see. Grades haven't come out yet. He's always been a 4.0 student, and he tries very hard to maintain that, but he did miss a lot, and he's got classes like gym and shop where you miss them, you can't really make up that time. So we'll see when his grades come out how hard it was, but he does a good job. He gets his work done, and anything asked of him, he always does it in school. So I think it'll balance out okay.
Excellent. Braden, can you tell me what was your favorite part about the walk?
From last year or this year?
Let's say this year.
This year was the Michigan Stormtrooper. Yeah, came out.
Oh, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the thing is, I didn't know that until pretty close to the end, if I'm sure to be exact.
Okay. And so who was this? What happened?
Well, Hunter, told me that there was going to be some pretty special people coming out during the walk, and I'm like, ooh, who could they be? And then I look up ahead and I see the Michigan Stormtrooper. I'm like, that's who he was talking about.
How exciting. Now, did the Stormtrooper walk with you or join you, or what happened?
He was only there at the end.
What was he doing at the
of the
end?
walk?
He held up the finish line.
Oh, very exciting. That's great. Good. Dr. Hurvitz.
Yes.
5 years from now, what do you hope will be different for the cerebral palsy community?
Well, I hope that in 5 years that there will be a lot more awareness of cerebral palsy. Cerebral palsy is the most common physical childhood onset disability. Now, autism and learning disabilities and ADD are more common, but in terms of significantly affecting physical function, cerebral palsy is the most common. We have long felt that cerebral palsy did not get the attention and the funding for research and the funding for services and so forth that it really deserves. There's been a lot of efforts nationally going on about that, and I think the CP Swagger is actually one of the most exciting, certainly one of the most visible. And there's a lot of other things going on to try and change that. Advocacy at the government level and so forth to try and change that. And I would really like to see that change so that we have the resources we need to start making a real difference for people with cerebral palsy. I think some of the research that we're doing will start to show some ways that we can really help people to improve their function and change their lifestyles and really help us understand some of the things that we think work for cerebral palsy and understand better. For example, we have a study going on right now looking at the rhizotomy surgery that Braden's going to have. We're looking at adults who had the surgery, and we're going to look at them better to understand how much the surgery helped them and if there's things we should be doing different as we approach children to make them better adults.
We've got another question that came in. What was harder, the first 5 miles or the last 5 miles of the walk?
I would actually have to say that's a tough one. First 5 miles, you know, that mindset of we've still got 52 miles to go. It's been 2 hours and we still got all this way. But, you know, both were emotional points. The first 5 with, you know, let's get this going. We had a bunch of people walking with us. Braden's entire school was out there walking with us the first 5 miles, or the first ways. So, you know, we had that energy of just leaving and just getting into it. And actually, it was harder than the middle miles for me. The beginning was because, you know, I had to stretch on my legs first, you know, get them moving, and then my muscles kind of got into a rhythm. But at the very beginning, you know, they were still a little like, kind of like, why are we doing this? And then finally, towards the middle, my muscles just said, okay, fine, whatever. The ending, of course, you know, having walked 52 miles so far, I was extremely sore, but, you know, we're almost there. There's so much energy. More people started coming. We're walking through Michigan's campus, which was exciting. Both were tough, but, you know, it was pretty cool.
Braden, how about you? The first 5 or the last?
I would say the last 5 because I was really anxious to get it over with.
How cool was it to have people from your school come out and walk with you?
You know, it was just really cool that people would take their time just to come out and walk 3 miles with me and Hunter.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Great. So what is next for the CP Swagger team?
You know, we're kind of taking it, you know, one step at a time, and we're still finishing up, you know, with the walk. Right now, you know, the spotlight's kind of on us, and we just want to, you know, tell people as much as we can about cerebral palsy, about our story, and, you know, try and just share it. And, you know, because our goal is awareness, we just want to spread it even more. And, you know, after that, I think we'll take a little rest because, you know, we're pretty tired, pretty busy, and Braden will be having a surgery coming up. And, you know, I think we'll just see what happens from there.
Okay, we have another question that came in. How did you physically prepare for this journey?
Well, last year it was harder to prepare because I'd never done anything like it before. This year we had some ideas, and I talked to Braden's therapist about ways to train. I'm a wrestler, so that obviously helps, especially with the mental aspect. The physical toughness needed to wrestle is a lot similar to the physical toughness, you know, that I needed to get through this walk. And I also, you know, I was lifting in the weight room as part of the football team. And then another thing that I was doing, I was carrying weighted backpacks, about 45 pounds, which isn't as much as Braden, but it's dead weight that hangs straight off my back. So it's a lot more wearing on my back and on my core than actually carrying Braden is. That was, you know, just to strengthen my legs as I was walking around with it all day, and to strengthen my core, you know, helping to balance. And I was, you know, doing it, and I actually went through 2 backpacks, 2 ripped, because I was actually adding so much weight to them.
That's awesome. One more question. What was your favorite rest stop and why? Did you have a favorite rest stop?
Maybe the last one.
No, my favorite rest stop was when we stopped at the farm because other 8-year-old people, I really like animals. So I think the barn that we went to was the best stuff.
That was Don's farm, and they had tons of animals outside. What did you see? What did you like to watch?
The goats.
The goats, the bunny rabbits. They had a whole bunch of chickens. We're just out walking around, so it entertained Braden, kind of helped him relax too, just sitting down watching the animals. He liked that a lot.
Nice.
Yeah, I would say my favorite rest stop, pretty much out of pure relief, was the end of the second night when we ended at the Marriott at Eagle Crest in Ypsilanti. Just
collapsed there.
yeah, I collapsed there, but it was just out of pure relief because I was so sore and so tired. Saturday night was the second night. It was our longest day. It was 24 miles, and that was the point where I was most sore and most tired throughout the walk. I actually, I was walking up there. It was, I think about 9:45. We ended up getting in, and I was so sore and so tired, and my legs started actually going numb, and I was just, I couldn't control them much other than just to keep them moving and keep them going. And once we actually got there, I collapsed. With Braden still on my back, I collapsed to my hands and my knees because I was that sore and that tired. What made it so special, though, is I collapsed, but my friends were right there, and they picked me right back up.
That's awesome.
I would say my favorite was Friday night coming into the campground. It was Wilderness Campground in Dundee, and all the campers from the campground came up front and cheered the boys on as they came in. I would say there was probably over 100 people gathered around up front cheering the boys, and just they opened up the camp store and told them to come in, get stuff for s'mores and popsicles, whatever you wanted, and they were very, very welcoming. And then also maybe we stopped, was it the Lewis Avenue Pizza that we stopped, and a couple came up and prayed over the boys, and I just thought that was very sweet.
That's wonderful. Well, I'll give you all one more opportunity. If there's anything else that you want to share with people, anything that you want to talk about that we didn't cover.
Our last project is Hart's going to get attacked by a bear. So
Where'd that come from?
and that will definitely raise awareness, I tell you. So
Okay.
I'd like to mention that a lot of the staff members of the Department of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation were there along the rest stops and so forth, and we'd sent out an email asking people to participate, and a lot of people came through. And if any of them are watching, I'd really just like to thank them for participating. And I just want to thank Hunter and his family for doing this, because it is so important to the people with cerebral palsy, the people that we try to serve. And I would encourage everybody to take the message of the CP Swagger, as I mentioned, maybe out to your legislators and out to your communities to see what more we can do for cerebral palsy.
My last thing, I would just like to thank everyone that, has supported us through all of this, everyone that's helped us, spread our story, who's, just helped us reach that goal of awareness, and everyone that's come out, everyone that walked with us, all my friends that were there for me, every step of the way, or if they were out there just a few miles, it meant so much to me, so much more than I can even, explain to them. Just having them there, I wouldn't have been able to do it without them, because their support, they were the ones that got me through. They were the ones that pushed me on and, picked me up when I was down. And I just, again, like to thank everyone that, has helped us get through all of this. Yeah, and also, if anyone's, in our area, this coming Friday at Forest View Lanes, we are going to have a welcome back party for us. It's going to be sponsored by Forest View Lanes, Sports Illustrated, and the Marine Corps. And it's going to be, it'll start at 5, and it's welcoming us back, basically. There will be free bowling, volleyball, cornhole, live music. The Marines will have a fitness event, and Sports Illustrated is going to have a famous athlete that is there, which is a surprise to us right now, but it'll be a fun time.
Excellent. Danielle, anything from you?
I'd like to encourage other people with cerebral palsy and their families to talk about it. I think, like it was said, it is one of the top mobility issues, and disabilities and kids, and it's just not talked about. People, I don't know, were quiet up until now, but we're talking about it. And honestly, when we tell people, it seems like they listen to what we have to say and just take it for what it is. And we don't have any instances of people being rude or bullying or anything like that. We're very open and upfront about any questions people have. And it kind of just makes things more comfortable for everybody.
Excellent. Very good. Well, that about wraps up our time today. Thank you all for joining us. And a big thank you especially for Hunter, Braden, and Danielle. Thank you for sharing your time and your story with us and everything that you've done to raise awareness of cerebral palsy. And Dr. Hurvitz, Chairman of the Department of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation. Thank you also for your time and participation. To our audience, if you have additional questions for the Gandee family, you will find that they are very accessible on social media. You can follow them on Facebook at Cerebral Palsy Swagger, on Twitter at _CP_Swagger, or Instagram at Cerebral_Palsy_Swagger. So thank you much for joining us, and we look forward to you joining us again at the next Mott Chat. Have a great afternoon.